Welcome to presentation on Mundell-Fleming Trilemma by PJ Finance Show.
In this video, we will look at what is Mundell-Fleming trilemma and the mechanism behind it.
Hey, I am trying to figure out how does the Mundell-Fleming trilemma works. Can you explain that to me?
Sure. You know that when countries want to achieve sustainable growth in the economy, they rely on fiscal policy, monetary policy, and currency policy.
Yes, we learned that in Professor Chia's class.
The monetary and currency policies are constrained by the Mundell-Fleming trilemma, which is commonly expressed by the impossible Trinity.
I see. By the way, why are you wearing a tie and a long-sleeve shirt on the beach?
Same reason you are wearing a jacket. We should be in the office. The impossible Trinity says that it is impossible to have all three of the following at the same time. They are, a fixed foreign exchange rate, free capital movement, which is the absence of capital controls, and an independent monetary policy. Governments that have tried to simultaneously pursue all three goals have failed.
Really? Are you making this up? Please give me some examples.
Sure. Let's take a look at the United States. The United States has free capital flows and independent monetary policy, but it does not have a fixed exchange rate. If it faces an inflation problem, the Federal Reserve will raise interest rates. Conversely, to support the economy that is weakening, the Federal Reserve can reduce interest rates. Subsequently, if capital flows in or out and the dollar strengthens or weakens, the country will accept it since it does not have a fixed exchange rate policy. The second example would explain the late 90s in China.
Sure.
In the late 90s, China has an independent monetary policy which is supported by a fixed exchange rate policy and controls over capital flows. If China needs to raise interest rates higher than, say, the U.S., global capital would not be able to pick up this additional interest because money cannot flow freely into China. At the same time, having a fixed exchange rate is useful to remove one layer of risk to the Chinese exporters and importers. Lastly, I would like to give an example about Hong Kong.
Okay.
As a major financial center, it is important for Hong Kong to have free capital flow. But because it has adopted a fixed exchange rate, it cannot have an independent monetary policy. Since the Hong Kong dollar is pegged to the US dollar, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority must follow the interest rate policy of the United States. Suppose in our example, we start with both the interest rates in the US and in Hong Kong at 2%. Suppose the US economy became stronger and inflationary, the Federal Reserve would have to raise interest rates, say, to 4%. If the Hong Kong Monetary Authority wished to keep interest rates in Hong Kong at 2%, then capital will flow out of Hong Kong into the US to capture the higher interest rates. Capital continues to flow out, the money supply in Hong Kong will shrink and interest rates will go up until it is as high as that in the U.S.
Would capital flow be concerned with foreign exchange risk since they are converting Hong Kong dollar to US dollar?
The answer is not likely if the market participants have confidence that the Hong Kong Monetary Authority will continue the policy of fixed exchange rate and pegging the Hong Kong dollar to the US dollar. Breaking the peg would open up an enormous number of problems and create chaos in the economy.
Does it matter if, unlike the strong growth in the U.S., there is a recession in Hong Kong?
The answer would be no. Capital will still move out of Hong Kong and interest rate in Hong Kong will rise until there is no more arbitrage opportunity.
This sounds like a big risk for Hong Kong to adopt a policy like this.
Yes, but to a large extent the Hong Kong economy has followed the U.S. economy. Hence, often when the economy is strong in the U.S. leading to higher U.S. interest rates, the Hong Kong economy is also strong and a higher Hong Kong interest rate is appropriate. And vice versa during periods of slow growth.
Thanks. This makes sense. I now know why we should understand the impossible Trinity as investors.
You're welcome.
Thanks for watching presentation on Mundell-Fleming Trilemma brought to you by PJ Finance Show.